Do you want to understand women better than 99% of men? Well, here are 12 weird things women secretly love. Number one, and first and foremost, it's exactly that. It is being a bit weird. They have ran the data and research suggests one of the most unattractive traits possible that ranked even below being like messy and unorganized was someone who is just conventional and uncreative. So the things that actually make you unique, the things that make you a little bit weird and a bit different are what make you attractive. I was speaking with a client this week and I got him to fill in a doc and he registered that he was kind of insecure about the fact that he had a really niche music taste. And I was like, dude, do not worry, that's actually a positive. One of the things that happens to us as people growing up, we kind of get bullied out of everything that makes us unique and interesting. So when we get to adulthood, we're all the same, we're all boring. And for women, one of the big questions men have to answer is just why you? So the things that actually make you unique, especially if you can speak about them with confidence and interest and passion, they make you very, very attractive. Next, and this one's a strange one, but it is from my own personal life. I have had multiple girls compliment that I have like wrinkles around my eyes when I smile and when I'm expressive. So I dug a bit deeper and it turns out this is actually a common thing and is over the internet of girls speaking to kind of like eye wrinkles and other signs of maturity in men, whether it is like a little bit of grey hair on the side and just other indicators of that maturity, which often men can hide, they can feel insecure about, but weirdly and secretively, they're super into it. And another thing, I think the eye wrinkles one, I've been complimented on that because they say it's a signal of being expressive, that you are truly like putting yourself out there. Because like when I smile, it all crinkles up. And so many people, when they smile, they do this. And it doesn't really have the same effect. When you're willing to beam out a smile, it makes people more interested in you, more engaging. Thirdly, and this is one I always get a bunch of heat on, but it is true. That is vulnerability. Your ability to put yourself out there, be expressive about who you are is always attractive, even in ways you wouldn't expect. And I'll get to that story because it's going to be embarrassing for me, so let's stall. But most men, they'll have maybe like opened up way too much to like the person on the bus and they speak to that one time where they opened up and it was just too much, it was too personal. And then they're like, oh no, vulnerability doesn't work, I need to be stoic. But it's so not true. If you're able to open up in an appropriate way where you kind of own it and show that, hey, I am a little bit flawed, I have these things going on. I remember in a relationship that I had, one of my insecurities growing up was, well, a sexual insecurity. I'd failed to perform with a bunch of girls and it made me feel insecure about that. And I thought, this is the last thing. Imagine telling that to a girl just before you're hoping maybe that you would get intimate with her. Most men's common logic would suggest that is an awful idea. But I just spoke out of just being like, hey, just so you're aware, like sometimes the first time with a girl, like I do just get a bit in my own head and sometimes I just kind of struggle to perform, but it just means we need to get a little bit more comfortable together first and then things will be fine. The most bizarre thing happened. She felt more comfortable with me because I'd opened up about that and we ended up proceeding to being more intimate faster, and also on my side, because I'd been willing to be open and expressive, it was fine and we just proceeded as normal. But that moment of realness for her where I'd clearly shown what was quite a flaw in my life, well, a perceived flaw from my side, actually increased her attraction to me rather than decreased. So vulnerability, when used properly, when you own it, you're not looking to score victim points, is actually really, really effective. Right, next one, and that is, I've got a whole load on this list and I'm going to do this all off the cuff. And that is starting with not making her your only priority. This is a mistake that I made, especially when I was younger. My first relationship, the relationship was the most important thing in the world to me, and I kind of cast everything aside, whether that was my hobbies, my habits, my friends even. And as much as women might think they want that in the moment, women secretly really do want you to have a lot of things going on. As much as they might kick up a fuss occasionally if you go and see the boys doing these things, they want you to have more going on in your life. They don't want you just stuck with needing every bit of validation to come from them, needing absolutely everything about your sense of self to be fed out of your relationship with them. It's super important. I messed up my first relationship doing exactly this, so do not fall into this trap. The next one, kind of weird, but it's the little moments. Women pay a lot of attention to what I call just like the little moments. And this is a weird example, but we're gonna go with it. If anyone has ever watched one Taylor Swift video where it details, okay, we're going there. I like Taylor Swift, I'm sorry, you're coming with me. So picture this, it's one of her music videos and it tells a bit of a story, and there's a girl, she's with her boyfriend, they're meeting all of his friends, and she's sat on the table with him, and then they're holding hands, and then out of nowhere, he just kind of drops her hand. And she feels that, and later on in the song music video, she ends up just like kicking off, giving him a bunch of grief of like, you dropped my hand, which has now become a common joke with me and my girlfriend of like, anytime there's a little moment thing, it's you drop my hand. And what it is because those little moments actually are really important. Weirdly, women, they really pick up on it because they see the intent behind what was happening there, and she just feels like she was let go. So for men, it can be tough, but paying attention to those kind of little moments is really key. The next one, and weirdly for men, right? As much as you might think it is a good idea when she asks you what do you think of this outfit, to be just generally positive, it is such a dumb idea, because the next one is your ability to tell the truth, your ability to communicate properly. I think we're on 6, not gonna lie, I think it's 6, but it's your ability to tell the truth. I have had this. My girlfriend says one of the things that she really likes about me is that she respects my opinion because I tell her the truth. When she wears an outfit I don't like, I tell her. We have an on-running joke about a jacket she has that I don't like because it's a leather jacket, and I just call it her Matrix jacket. Like, I don't like it. It just looks really masculine. She loves it, whatever, and other people think it's great. But for me, I'm not a fan. But she then trusts me when I say other things, like when I compliment her other outfits. She trusts that. So as weird as it might sound, sometimes actually all the time is better to communicate the truth, because then they believe you when you give the compliment and it lands significantly better. The next one is going to run completely against most of the dating advice out there. And that is not playing games, not being that guy that wants to keep her on the hook of being uncertain whether you're interested or not. One of the fascinating things is people get caught in this idea that, oh, if you become too predictable, like if you show your interest too early, she'll run away, like she'll know she's got you and you aren't really that attractive. This isn't actually true, because yeah, one way to create that kind of roulette wheel uncertainty and unpredictability and potentially dopamine excitement is to be a bit more push-pulley, to not text her back too quick and to do all of these games. But another even more attractive way of communicating your interest is simply being willing to be direct, being willing to say, hey, I'm really interested in you. Would you like to go on a date sometime? Being willing to kiss her on that first date and being bold, because it does still create uncertainty. It's just a different kind of uncertainty. Rather than it be, I don't know if this person likes me. Instead, it's, oh, I don't know what's gonna happen next. Like, oh, he asked me on the date, we're gonna go on the date, are we gonna kiss? Oh, am I gonna go back to his? I know something's gonna happen, but I don't know what. Being able to be bold is very attractive, and most dating advice often leverages an idea of being aloof and uninterested. So weirdly, it's significantly better to just be direct. Next, that is your ability to be the fool. So on one of my first dates with the girl that I date now. That is, we were driving around, and I'm a bit of a loser when it comes to music. Like I'm just not a music guy. I never was growing up. Like I like a bit of pop punk, but like other than that, my music taste gets pretty cheesy and pretty generic. And one of the things that I did was we were driving around, like going around late at night, and it led to me singing word for word "Call Me Maybe" in the car, because that is like my go-to karaoke song, and it was on the playlist and came up, and then I was like, right, you want me to go? All right, I can do this. And I, no lie, I was just there, like, I threw a wish in a well, don't ask me, I'll never tell. Why am I singing "Call Me Maybe" on this? Screw it. Anyway, that is what I did, and I went all the way through, and it was just funny. And guys that aren't willing to be the fool take themselves too seriously, and it's actually unattractive. So weirdly, being able to be the fool is one of the most attractive things that you can do. That you're able to put yourself forward and just be like, I don't mind, because this is what it communicates. It communicates that I don't have your opinion of me so sky high that I only care what you think of me. I'm willing to make that risk and do what I think is just funny, because for me that was fun. Okay, next one. And this one's something that I think is really good and really useful, especially if you've just met. So I use this a lot and often on what I call like cold approaches. So if I'm walking over, and to avoid things getting really, really boring, instead what I will do, rather than go for the deep questions, is I will go over and I'll make what's called assumptions and cold reads. Because the thing is, girls actually really enjoy this. When I'm going over there, rather than just being like, okay, how many siblings do you have? What do you study? Instead, I'll just be like, you look like you do something medical. You look like you do this. Oh, you look like you're the type of girl that invites all of her other friends and signs them up for races even though they don't want to. You're sporty and kind of annoying. I can see it. And that just creates such a funner sense of an interaction, which is lost when it's just the standard scripted. Oh, do you like this? Oh, cool. What's the name of your dog? Nice. It's awful. It's awful. So make sure you avoid doing any of that. Next. Weird. Your sense of smell. I was talking to my girlfriend last night, and she mentioned how one of her friends was dating a guy, and they essentially broke up because of his hygiene. Well, like the main factors was just the fact that he wasn't much of a washer, let's say. And smell is so important for women, like shockingly important. Like, you know, the thing that I mentioned before, the study where conventionalness came in at the bottom of like being uninteresting. At number 4 was what you smelt like for desirable traits. It is sky high. Women's sensitivity to this is huge. So being a guy, one that probably washes does help. But I also like the idea of having a signature fragrance. It's something that I definitely do. She starts to associate that smell to me, and it's just like I have an aftershave and I just spray it on my clothes before I go out on the dates. Super important, super helpful. So I would really recommend that. Honestly, I think we're at 10, and I'll let you in on a secret. I've forgotten one of them. It's in the list somewhere, and I may have to check my phone if it does not come to me before I've gotten to the end of this one. So we're gonna go for 11. That is your ability to be assertive, your ability to be able to make decisions. And that doesn't mean being a tyrant. A lot of these skills, it's often just being in the level of very good, but not extreme, because anything taken to the extreme is a nightmare. But this same friend of my girlfriend also told a story of a date she was meant to go on with a guy. She'd matched him on a dating app, and when they'd spoke about going on a date, they'd agreed to it. And he'd told her that, oh, it's okay, well, we'll meet on Saturday. I don't really have any plans. We'll just figure it out. And I'm not gonna lie to you, that's one of the worst things that you could do for a first date. Mainly because it shows you as not very competent. It shows a level of uncertainty that someone just does not need on a first date when they've not met you. And it just shows a lack of just leadership. being able to be assertive, being able to make decisions and get things done is still attractive, even in the modern day where we seem to have pushed away from what is that traditional masculinity. One of the things that girls have always complimented me on was the fact that I was able to put effort in, I was able to coordinate, I was able to organize things and make decisions when required. Okay, I give up. We are going to the cheat sheet, and the one that I was missing, God damn it, okay, it was dates related. So, obviously, your inability to be assertive and make dates is one of them. Then, final, we're going for 12, the weirdest thing. 12, 11 things off the cuff, one with a cheat. Okay, right, well, 11 out of 12, we're gonna take it. Next one is your inability to be able to have cheaper dates. One of the icks that I've seen from girls is guys that try and pay their way into affection from a girl. So they'll try and take them on the expensive dinner date and then go out and see a show or do any array of expensive things. And it's coming from a place of insecurity. It's coming from a place of, I don't feel that good about myself. I'm not particularly creative, so I'm not gonna really be able to give you any other kind of date. One of the things that the girl I date right now really enjoyed when we were, I think, second official date, we ended up driving and I took her to go to an airport so we could watch the planes take off and come down. That was a very cheap but also creative date. I took some board game things and some snacks, super cheap, but it showed also just kind of like a willingness to be able to say, hey, I think I'm good enough on my own. I don't need to trick you with excitement and distract you with mini golf or anything like that. I think me, who I am, is enough. I don't need the fancy tricks. And that is the 12th weird thing that women do secretly love. That I could have tried to take this girl on some crazy adventurous dates, but it just sets that weird precedent that you don't feel like you're enough on your own, and you truly are. So, these are 12 weird things women really actually love. And if you want to be the guy that can do these more creative dates, that doesn't rely on spending money on girls, well, dating doesn't actually have to be expensive. And you can check out the 5 extremely dirt cheap dates that women truly love in this video right here. So, I'll catch you there.